Hey guys, and welcome back to another Woodbrew video. We are back to working on our camper, and the goal for this video is to get all the roofing panels installed.
Now Molly and I were looking at the analytics of the last video, and 81% of you guys were not subscribed that watched that video. So if at the end of this video you think that we've earned your subscription, I highly recommend clicking that subscribe button, because you will not be disappointed in the future videos we have coming out, and that way our analytics won't look so rough.
And you don't want to miss the final reveal of this camper, right?
Yes. So thank you guys very much in advance if you choose to subscribe. Thank you very much. Now let's get into this video. Now before we start putting all the roofing panels on, I wanted to double check that this roof vent fan would actually fit in the hole, as well as the wiring was going to work out, because the last thing I wanted to do was glue on that top panel and realize that the wiring wasn't going to go in correctly. And I also decided to go ahead and add in another light to the interior, and now's the time to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill some holes through so that we can pass the wires down through and get all of these wires situated and put down through their holes prior to us actually gluing that top panel on. Now, if you missed any of our prior videos, I highly recommend you go back and check out this wire management that we've created. Essentially, we've routed in sort of wire channels throughout our interior wall panels, so it's pretty cool how all of these wires come up and are actually hidden within these very thin walls. We need to go ahead and install the other wiring in the camper on the front wall prior to putting that front panel on as well. So I'm just running some wires with plenty of extra length to get back to eventually where the battery will sit, which is in the back of the camper. And yeah, I just want to make sure that we had all this laid out and in the wall prior to putting the panel on, because it's not that you couldn't put the wires in with the panel on, but it'd be much more difficult. The last prep step for applying the roofing panels is to go ahead and sand everything nice and smooth. Now, all of these angles and such have, not perfect transitions, so I went ahead and sanded them all to make them smooth and seamless so that we didn't have any areas in the glue joint that had a pocket or a raised area of any sort. So I just wanted to make sure I went through here and smoothed everything out as good as I could. Oh, seamless.
It's our best friend. The black one?
We're first applying the front panel, and Molly is adding wood glue to all of the foam, and I'm adding Thixio epoxy made by Total Boat to all of the wood areas. This is a thickened epoxy, meaning that it will not run down this vertical wall, which is important, but I did make sure it was smoothed out and covered everything really well. We chose to use wood glue on the foam instead of epoxy, just in case there is a thermal reaction causing heat from the epoxy, therefore melting the foam. Didn't want that to happen. And I secured everything with some galvanized staples. Now all of this is going to be, impervious to water anyway, but I went with galvanized fasteners here, and we used a bunch of clamps to make sure everything was squeezed nice and tightly. Now, because the rest of the panels are not vertical, I'm not really concerned about the epoxy running off, and just regular old Total Boat high performance epoxy is a lot cheaper than their Thixio product, and you can also make a much bigger batch very easily, so I went ahead and used that instead of Thixio, and I made sure to apply this liberally everywhere. Because this is some pine plywood, it soaks it up, so you want to make sure you put a lot on there and on both sides. So I'm pre-wetting this other side on all the contact points. That way we get a nice strong connection. And again, I used the same method of using those staples to get everything tightened down, and we came back and added a bunch of clamps for good measure as well. But we were actually going to have to trim this panel, and we needed to wait for the glue to dry to do that, so this was all we got done for this day. We had to wait overnight to get started on the next panels.
We can't seem to get away from water trouble. My car has been smelling like worms. Like if you were to go fishing and buy a thing of worms, that's what it smells like. So, what did we find?
Yeah, we've been sort of not knowing what the heck was going on for the last week or so, and It was so bad today that we were like, we have to stop and figure out what the heck is making this car stink. So we took out the floor mats, and the bottom carpet was soaking wet. When I pulled this back, this whole area was full of water. I had to pull these plugs out, but I noticed that this tube right here was just laying like that. And I'm pretty sure this is a condensation line for your AC. So we've just been dumping all the condensation into the car. Oh God, it stinks.
Oh.
Oh, this is bad. Oh, it stinks.
Stop. Oh.
Good thing we took the carpet up.
Yeah. Just got done with one side. This isn't even the bad side. Yum.
Well, as you can see, we got Molly's car put back together. All is well again. Everything's dry and cleaner than it was before. But that brings us to a good segue for today's sponsor, iFixit.
It's ready to go.
As you already know, Molly and I are big supporters of the movement for our right to repair. And because of that, we've been partnering with iFixit in February to do Fix It Feb. But, you know, obviously it's not February anymore, but we're still obviously bringing awareness to your right to repair because it is super important. Now, iFixit makes awesome products like this Fix Mat, which is a dry erase part sorter that's also magnetic. So as you're working on a project, you can put your pieces on here and keep organized. Speaking of working on projects, they also make all of these really great precision driver sets like this one here, as well as many other kits so that you can fix common items around your house. Based on the comments we've seen down below, you guys are also very passionate about fighting for our right to repair, and I highly recommend you go check out iFixit's website and the products it sells because you will be directly supporting that fight if you support iFixit. So thank you very much, iFixit, for supporting all of our rights to repair, and with that out of the way, let's get back to the video. Now originally I was going to do some angles on both parts of the roof panel, so half of 45 degrees in this angle, so each panel would basically have a 22.5 degree angle on it, but then I realized it really just wasn't worth it because of the way that we were going to be finishing this trailer anyway, so I went ahead and just made them a little oversized and then cut them off flush, and then I just cut a simple 45 degree angle on that front panel and didn't really worry about the fact that it's going to hang over the top panel by a little bit because we'll be able to just sand that down later. And because of the way we're actually going to be applying fiberglass to these seams, and then the overall finished product of it all is just not really going to matter, and it wasn't worth all the effort and the possibility of not getting those angles just right and having some areas pushed up. So yeah, we just went very simple here with very basic angles and just allowed things to have gaps or, you know, hang over a little bit, because all of that's going to be very easily filled and have fiberglass applied over it later. Now the camera does not do us justice in this because during this time that we were putting all of these panels on, it was constantly raining on us, which was just an absolute nightmare with epoxy. It would be sunshining for 1 second and then just start raining out of nowhere. It was a very odd weather day, and you could actually see in this clip how the lighting adjusts so quickly. I mean, it was just cloud after cloud and then random spurts of rain. It'd be sunshining. It was just not a fun way to be applying epoxy. And yeah, so pretty much we were running around like a chicken with our head cut off most of these things, because as soon as we would start, it would inevitably start raining on us. Now you will notice on this front panel here that there's actually a decent gap on the front, and I just decided that gap I'd rather have there at the bottom than on the top, and this panel didn't turn out to be perfectly the right width after all. So yeah, you can see it right there that that angle just didn't really make it. It wasn't long enough, but that was easy enough to fix with a piece of poplar and just cut and then epoxied in place in there. And again, none of that really matters, and that's kind of the beauty of building something like this, is that all of these things, you know, can be easily covered up depending on what kind of siding you're going to do on the outside. We've had a lot of questions about that, so to clear that up, we're actually going to be doing epoxy slash fiberglass, and then on top of all of that, we're doing bed liner. So this thing's going to be impervious to water, but it's also going to have a textured finish, which means that there's basically nothing that we can do on the outside that won't be pretty darn easy to hide with the overall finished product. But there you go, just added in this nice little piece of poplar and epoxied it in place, and then that just fixes that. It also adds in the benefit that now that corner is actually a little bit stronger, so you know, it might be a worthwhile investment to do this everywhere. We had a little bit of epoxy left over after adding that piece in, so we decided to hop inside quickly and add in this support piece to the bunk as well, because it was a piece that we've kind of just needed to do this entire time and hadn't got around to it. So yeah, this piece just sort of clamps under there and gives that bunk some more support. And then the next day, when all of that was dry, we could come back with a hand plane and smooth out that piece of poplar, making it a perfect fit. And then we could move on with the flush trim router bit again to make the door frame nice and flush with the outside skin. I've talked about this several times, but the thing that's important is that everything matches the outer skin, and if it's not perfectly aligned on the inside, it doesn't really matter. I did want to cover those exposed plywood edges on that door frame though, so I grabbed some poplar, cut them to 1.5 inches, which is a little bit wider than the actual wall thickness, and then I ripped them down to 1/8 of an inch thick. Now, not only does this cover the actual exposed plywood, which is important, it also gives a good area for us to apply epoxy / fiberglass to create a really impervious area there in the door. And then lastly, the good thing it does is it actually decreases the overall gap between the door. So the reveal around the door was 1/4 inch because it's actually the negative part of the cutout, and we used a 1/4 inch router bit, so we'd have a 1/4 inch gap all the way around that door. But by adding this in, now it's only going to be about 1/8 inch, and also lets us sort of feather things out. And on top of all of that, on that bottom piece, when it's all said and done, I can actually sand that to a little bit of an angle so that if water does get in there, it will actually run out. But we actually have some guttering systems that we will be adding in at a later time to these doors, so you'll see all that in a future video to see how we waterproof all of this and have a nice tight seal there. All of these angles are 45 degrees, so I just set the miter saw to 22.5, which is half of 45. And so we basically just had some 45-degree angles in the corners and then 22.5 in these areas where there's a 45-degree angle. So 22.5 equals 45, and it makes a nice seamless joint there. And I just used some epoxy and some tiny pin nails as well as some tape to hold it in place. And then finally we added a ton of clamps, so these things aren't going anywhere. The very next day we could take off all of the clamps, and let's just say there was a lot. Basically every clamp we had in our shop to do both sides. That seems to be the theme of this project. Use a ton of clamps and wait for glue to dry. However, I'm very glad that we added these trim pieces. It really finished the whole door frame off, and the thing is looking awesome. Well guys, this week we've started to really see this camper taking shape, which is awesome to see, and it makes me very excited to see what's to come next week when we really start making this thing, start finishing out, which is awesome. So stay tuned for that video, and again, you guys, please consider subscribing. 81% of you guys in the last video were not subscribed that watch it, so if you made it to the end and you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video where we're doing another iFixit giveaway, so you're not going to want to miss that. And thank you guys very much for the support and always commenting awesome things down below. But with that out of the way, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.